guy who's been directing for so many years. So Ready Player One. I'll just read the synopsis on IMDb. When the creator of a virtual reality world called the Oasis dies, he releases a video in which he challenges all Oasis users to find his Easter egg, which will give the finder his fortune. So obviously this is directed by Steven Spielberg, based off a book by Ernest Cline. I remember that because I kept on hearing the ad over and over and over again. I have not read the book, but I heard they've done. I've heard they've done changes, but they've done.
Okay.
But I've heard they've done really good changes in the sense of what wouldn't work in a book. I mean, what wouldn't work in what works in a book wouldn't work in a movie.
In a movie, right?
Like when it comes to mine, it always reminds me of I think Spielberg's really good at doing that. I remember he did it with Jaws, because I remember watching, I think, the book of Jaws. There's a whole subplot with, a romance and, cheating with someone's wife and stuff. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit weird.
Infidelity.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then, in the movie, he's like, yeah, none of that. Just a shark adventure. Sure. Yeah, I feel like, he probably cut out good stuff that was relating to, things and pacing. I think some of the puzzles were different solely because, the puzzles in the book wouldn't translate too well to movie form. So Ready Player One, I think if we want to talk about it, let's go, I guess, overall, because I feel like when this movie got announced and when you see the trailers, I feel like there was a lot of people being like, oh, it's just a stupid movie with references and, it's not going to be a movie. It's all going to be like, oh, you're appropriating my geek culture. And it's none of that. I feel like just to get it out of the way first, the movie itself is not just cameo after cameo and oh, did you see this? Did you see that? It's a lot better than people give credit for. So once again, the references and the cameos does not damper the movie, and that's what I really liked about it, because overall I feel like this movie is it's kind of returned to form to Spielberg in a classic sense of an adventure, something like an Indiana Jones, but kind of done in a different take, in a futuristic take, and I really like the film, and I feel like it's been one of Spielberg's best films in years. So yeah, I say it's a really good film.
Yeah, I actually really like this movie as well. I think just because it's been a while since there's been a film with a very simple concept that I've liked. A lot of this film can basically be chalked up to being a little bit like Willy Wonka in a sense, right? Without
they did use the music for it in all the advertisements, so it's kind of like a.
Oh, did they? I don't actually remember.
Even in the posters, if you rewatch the trailer, it has the Pure Imagination song.
Oh yeah,
it's slowed down. Sure. I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense because it's on an adventure, and if someone does it properly, they will win the inherent.
The fortune, yeah.
And then obviously it goes to someone who's less fortunate, and that's kind of the basic premise, I guess.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is it is nostalgia. A lot of the I think we were talking about it before on a previous podcast about how a lot of movies are kind of capturing whatever brand of nostalgia is going to be popular, and I think this movie is very 80s nostalgia. Again, you kind of have the main character is was born in 2024, but he has this kind of really, really loves 80s music, which again is fine. I don't have any issue with
you
that.
Could say it, you can say it today, in today's generation, I feel like 80s music is, I really like 80s music. I think it might be my favorite genre, 80s in general.
In general.
Oh, it's so
good.
Yeah, let's say that's probably one of the main reasons why I love this film so much. I'm all the music, I'm yeah, that's good music. I love that song. So that helped me along through the film as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's I like a lot of songs from the 80s. I'm a big fan of Prince, for example, and they do actually use and reference Prince several times in this movie. They, Michael Jackson again. This movie, it's less to do with, I guess, nostalgia. Oh, how cool do you remember this? But it's more hey, here's a homage to this thing. Hey, how cool is this thing? It shows that the love of geek culture, I guess, and how much they love certain, I guess, fandoms and different kind of things that the movie kind of does a really good job at displaying. Like, again, like it's kind of, in this like virtual world, where people kind of, live to be like, and I think, in a way it's kind of dystopian at the beginning. Like, again, they don't really like explain it too much, but, and I guess, it's not the most important part, but you can kind of extrapolate a little bit from what you hear in the film. And maybe it's explained more in the book, but yeah, like people have kind of lost motivation and lost any kind of, I guess, purpose in modern day real life. So they go to the oasis and live out their fantasies of being like, their Steel Maxims, or being their like, Iron Man, or whatever they want.
Whatever they want to be. And but I really do like the design of the world in a sense, because it's like, it is like set in this like kind of, I guess, close sci-fi. Like you could say maybe in the next 20 years, but like obviously it's a lot more dirtier there. I really like the design of the, they call it the stacks, which is just the it's literally just the stacks of like caravans and people's the way they live. It's like 50, like it's got like 20 stories, and it's all just random people's homes. I really like that look of it, and from what I saw from the book and the page, and it's basically like it looks really good. The world obviously looks a little bit scummy, I guess, but and obviously and then like the evil corporation IOI is like this very clean looking, like Apple minimalistic looking, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that. And then if you want to talk about like villains, obviously Ben Mendelsohn, our good old Australian Ben Mendelsohn playing the villain. I liked him. He's pretty much one note. He's just a bad evil corporation suit guy who wants to control stuff and sell people ads like an EA stuff.
yeah, exactly. Like, again, like the motivations in this movie are very like, okay, I can believe that. Like, this is exactly what a multi-conglomerate corporation that wants to basically enslave people through the usage of virtual reality, which they've now become, I guess, enslaved to. They're going to be selling these people ads, and it's going to be like ridiculous. And that's exactly what you'd expect from an over-the-top, villain and stuff. And that also have their own private army as well.
Like once again, I like we'll talk about the positives soon, but that was probably like the only weird negative where it's like. I guess you can kind of be like, since IOI kind of controls like pretty much everyone around the world's kind of like lives in a sense, it's very hard.
It's like the second largest company. I think that's what they refer it to, and that's the reason why they're trying to gain access to the Oasis, because that would make them the biggest company, if they actually manage to get it.
It's literally if Microsoft is like, hey Apple, can we buy you? And they're like, yeah, sure. Or what Disney's doing right now. So
yeah.
But like
exactly.
There was kind of like maybe a bit of confusion when it came to the villain, because like this private corporation has this whole army worth of people, but like semi commits crimes in real life. But I feel like it was like, how much are you getting away with this? Are the police bought by you? And then until like right at the end where police actually do something about it, but still like But I feel like it was only like that just because it was like, let's build some tension and police and stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think like the concept was really cool. Like, like not only are they like dicks in virtual reality, they're dicks in reality, right? But I think maybe if the movie did spent a little time establishing how much of a control IOI had, like other than in real life, it's like, they've they got control of like government and corruption, and they're like like you talk about how people have tried to talk out about their corruption in politics and whatever. Like that'd be like a good way to kind of stretch out, like, okay, this is the reason why they can get away with having basically destroying buildings to get access to people playing video games, right?
That's
what that's what it kind of comes down to. But yeah, like I think that's like I think the only kind of thing. Like it's a very, 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 very small thing. Like it's just kind of towards the end where it's just kind of like, okay, they're doing a lot of stuff, like yeesh. But I think the movie has a lot of good. And while again, it's a very simple plot, And some people might be like, oh, it's simple. That's not going to get me thinking too hard. I don't think this movie is trying to. Like, it's got a very simple plot about, our main character trying to, get his hands on, the Easter egg in this video game. Wade Watts, again, his dad. I think his dad named him that, like, to sound like a superhero character, right?
Yeah, he personally references like Spider-Man and stuff like that. So like, once again, like in this world, like pop culture is king. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool. Like, it's like, what if you're in a circle of geeks and nerds and people who are into this type of stuff, but what if everyone was like that? Like, it's kind of like me and you talking and discussing like hardcore DC stuff that like random people wouldn't know, but like the whole world knows that stuff. And it was kind of cool. I think people might be pissed off because it's like so nerdy, but like it has a really good balance. It had a really good balance, you know.
But I don't even necessarily think that's the case either. Like in this film, like they kind of have shown, and I think it's going to be the case in the future anyways, like in my opinion, like once like they've perfected virtual reality and it becomes a useful tool, everybody will be doing it. It won't just be like, all the like kids doing it. Like, your mom or your grandma will be like on the VR as well, because why the hell would you want to do like a video conference call or a, Skype chat with someone when you can just put on some VR goggles and feel like you're just like in the room with them? It seems like something that people would definitely jump on the moment it comes out. Because I think not everybody in the Oasis was playing video games. Like, obviously, they showed the motive to play it was, okay, you get coins, you're trying to find the Easter egg. But a lot of it is like, oh, we're just having fun.
Yeah. Like, now that you explain it, yeah, because like at the start, they were just like, you do everything here. You can play video games, or you can go to a casino. You can like go on a tropical island. So it's like literally like an all-for-one type of thing. And that was really cool, and they really established, like, I guess the Oasis really well, and like how everything's done. I like, because that's the thing. These are kind of like some of my favorite movies where it is like an adventure. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Indiana Jones and things like that, or like where it's like we got this quest and we're gonna do it, and like I really liked, like there's like about maybe 3 challenges to get the 3 keys to get to the Easter egg, and I really enjoyed all their set pieces. Like the first one is a race, and I thought it was really cool, and I thought like the mystery of the race was pretty cool. And obviously everything's just going crazy and bonkers. Like, you had the DeLorean racing with the Akira bike, and then you got appearances from King Kong and stuff like that, and that was really cool. And yeah, like speaking of like DeLoreans and things like that, what's his name? Alan Silvestri did the music score, which is really good.
Oh, okay.
So Alan Silvestri worked with Robert Zemeckis and Spielberg to do like Back to the Future and like basically all those movies. So if there's like the themes kind of sound kind of alike, it's because that's his style. Even like the reference to Robert Zemeckis, so Back to the Future, it's the Zemeckis cube, which is a Rubik's cube that goes back in time. Okay. So that was kind of
that like actually. Oh, that makes sense, because I didn't actually get the reference.
See, I did. I'm like, Zemeckis, I get you, because Zemeckis did like Back to the Future, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He does a lot of good stuff. Yeah. So like, I thought that was really funny. Like if we want to talk inner geek stuff, there's a lot of like cool cameos, I guess, that probably distracted me probably too much of the movie, but I really enjoyed everything about it. Even the 80s neon aesthetic to it. I just really liked it. Even the acting with the Ty Sheridan and Olivia Cook, which is Parzival and Artemis, top notch. Even everyone else, but those two are obviously the mains, and they do a really good job, and they got really good chemistry. And I really like them.
Yeah, like again, so essentially like as we were mentioning before, like in this world, which again I think is what's going to happen to most people when VR hits. Like they're in this oasis and they're just trying to have a great time, and the kind of thing that separates the main characters from, I guess, like 99% of the other people at the oasis is that they're gunters. They're trying to find this Easter egg, and Artemis, Samantha Cook, played by Olivia Cook, she is like this top elite kind of Oasis, not hacker, but like player. And it's quite interesting because it kind of reminded me, back in the day when I used to go on like video game like websites and find like tutorials that like other people have made, and you kind of read them. And he talks about like her.
I've watched all her streams. I'm like, oh
yeah,
man,
exactly.
Twitch,
it's very much...
Twitch in the future is going to be this big thing.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's like kind of what it is. Like, I've watched all her guides, and like, in the end, like, Wade's goal is like, he's trying to figure out like, how to get through these puzzles and trying to, unlock things. And it's a really cool world building thing that they introduce. There's also like a bunch of other characters in the film. You've got like Daito and Sho, who are, I guess like these samurai like ninja guys.
They're like very Mortal Kombat, and I think in the end, one of the end scenes, one of the kids in real life had like a Mortal Kombat sticker on his headset. I'm like, ha, that's funny. That was good.
Yeah. Like again, like it's references galore in this film.
But
like,
it doesn't detract from the film, and I think that's where the main people were just like, it's just gonna be references, but it's got a solid thing, but it's got stuff like in the background if you are willing to pay attention. Like there was some like deep cuts where you're like, dude, why is the Arkham Knight around here? Okay, fine. Hello Kitty. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's Hello Kitty. There's like, what is it, Battletoads, which have kind of gotten a bit of a, I guess, return with like, the Xbox One. I think they appeared in like Killer Instinct, their like fighting game.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's like, you've got like, the Spartans from Halo. I'm pretty sure there was like a Sonic reference in it.
I think there was, yeah. I think like I was looking like at like this deconstruction, and they're just like, yep, there's a Halo, there's Sonic, there's so many. It's like one of those things where it's like you wait until the Blu-ray to figure this shit out.
Yeah. Like, and as I mentioned, Warner Brothers made this film, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least distributed it. Yeah, and so you're gonna see a lot of Warner Brothers properties on it. Obviously, there's like references to climbing a mountain with Batman, and you see Harley Quinn and a few other characters from like the DC universe, like just hanging out at like this huge club. But yeah, like this movie just does like a very good job at just knowing what it is, kind of representing itself in a way that's visual eye candy, but then also not kind of detracting it from the main goal of the film and taking you on this ride and enjoying the characters that they build. I've heard that there might be like a sequel to this film, which would actually be pretty cool, because again, like, I don't know if there's a sequel to the book.
I don't think there is, but still, I feel like that would be interesting. I doubt Steven Spielberg would actually do it and be passed on to someone else, which is kind of like my fear. Where it's
so you reckon he wouldn't come back and do it?
I don't know. Spielberg is like the only like sequels he's done is like literally Indiana Jones, like all of them. But
like, what if they threw enough money at it? Like,
yeah, well, maybe, because that's the thing. This kind of reminds me of a thing where it's like a lot of these would have been a licensing hell, because like, and I think Steven Spielberg was probably the person together. If they got it some random dude, be like, hey man, give me your product, they'd probably be like, no, but like it's Spielberg, like it kind of reminds me, because even Spielberg also was one of the producers on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and like trying to get Disney, Warner Brothers cartoons, and like I forgot the other one, but like the all these cartoon stuff together, that would have been a nightmare back in the 80s. So he kind of did the same thing again with Ready Player One. One thing that really did shock me, and how they did it, and as well as like, okay then, is there's a bit in the film where they kind of do a really good representation of The Shining. And it's like dead on, like almost too real.
Too real. Yeah. Well, I mean, they reference The Shining. It's an important part of one of the puzzles. I won't spoil which one. But yeah, like it is almost as if like you were in the movie and you're watching it from like a third person perspective, like
almost like you were actually an avatar in the Oasis watching the movie inside the film, like.
Yeah, like, to say that, like, there is a scene happening, when you're watching it in the film, it's at a certain angle, but you could watch the scene at a different angle and move around and watch. right? Like that's kind of what it is. But I think a lot of that is probably done like again, like we've got the technology to recreate old movies and stuff. But I would also imagine that like they probably still have a lot of the assets from these movies, and getting them scanned and then kind of appropriated in 3D wouldn't be that difficult. Like they basically did it for the Star Wars movies, like the latest ones. They went back to the vault and saw like, oh hey, like what do we have? All right, cool, we have the Millennium Falcon. Let's scan it and see how we can like replicate stuff. Like I really liked it. It's really cool. It's really like again, it's quite surreal.
Yeah.
Especially if you've seen The Shining. Watching the film, like again, it's different from watching this won't spoil The Shining, but it borrows stuff from it, and it's very interesting to see like what they do with it. It would, and the thing is, like, if they do a sequel, it can be another film that they kind of flip the script on.
Yeah, see, I feel like at some point someone's gonna rip off this idea, since it's like I think it's pretty successful, and I feel like some people would be like another studio would be like, what if we do this, but like different movies, properties that we have. It's kind of like that'd be really cool. But yeah, the Shining stuff was it's probably my favorite just because of like how accurate it was, and it is like The Shining is a Warner Brothers film, so they're probably just like, yeah, you can probably edit it in some sort of ways. So that was really well done. I just really liked I don't know, there's so much I like about it. Like one thing I really liked is the style of filming, mainly because like, since it's a mostly CGI 3D world, like actually done in filming and not actually really done in real life, I guess. It has these kind of impossible shots, like has a lot of these like sweeping shots that would have like, it's kind of like a one take type of thing, but it lasts for like 45 seconds, then another 45 seconds. So it does a lot of like, attention's on this side, but it's sort of cutting to another frame. Like a lot of the movie wasn't cutting, a lot of the movie was it's flowing to another scene. And you can only do that with digital, and it did it really well. And it's has this amazing energy when it flows, especially in like the last battle scene. You like I didn't for a very long time in the final battle scene there wasn't really that many cuts. It was just flowing through the battlefield, and it was kind of like done in this natural way. It's a different, I guess, style for Spielberg, but he does it really well. And obviously by him, he's one of the master of his craft, and it's a different style, and I really like it as well. Like it's different, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I'm glad to see him do a film, that is kind of a little bit, more general audience. Like again, like I haven't watched Bridge of Spies, but I've heard it's a very good film.
Oh, it's a very long. It's long, but it's good. BFG, like I like the book, so I'm like okay, but like it wasn't really like outstanding. So like this is probably like his really good film for a very long time. Like he makes really like once again, I like all these films, but like he hasn't really made, I guess, something really good in like years. Like I really liked Lincoln, but like a Warhorse as well in Tintin, but that's like 5-6 years ago.
I'm actually a fan of Tintin, and I haven't watched the Tintin movie. I really should.
Especially
given the style of that movie looks really cool. I like the animation style and like the aesthetic of it. It's really cool.
Well, once again, like I said before, with the flowing shots, Tintin has some of those shots, but I think he put it full force when it comes to Ready Player One, because Tintin has like those type of things, because it's a 3D animated world and it's a different style. But I liked it, and I liked how there was there was a lot of references to like how people live in the world, or like even like they go to a nightclub and how people interact with that. And I don't know, there's just a lot of this film to deconstruct and like talk about, but like it's just so much. All the characters are really well. Like I like how there's lots of references to not just geek like culture where it comes to movies or music, but like just it's building upon its own thing as well. And I just really like it. And like once again, I wouldn't mind a sequel. It's just one of those things of doing it properly, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true. I would prefer if Spielberg does come back and do it, but again, it'd have to be the right script. It'd have to have the characters returning, things like that. There's a lot of pieces that would have to come together for a sequel. But I think this film does a good job at just being its own standalone thing, and I'm okay with that too. I think it's pretty clear that we recommend you listeners to go out and watch this movie because it's goddamn good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. If I even really liked one of the creators, which is I forgot his name. It's like Arnok.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, like one of the main creator of it, and I like how he's played as like a timid, anti-sociable nerd, and he's kind of like this is his baby, but like it's grown, and I guess Simon Pegg's character, like he's like friend being like we have to change it, and like I liked a lot of what I guess the movie was saying with like something got to do with like friendship as well as like maybe once in a while step off the games and stuff because real life is real life, and yeah.
I won't spoil what the final solution is for like what the what Wade does with his power, but I thought it was just kind of a bit okay, like that's all that's happening. People are still going to be addicted to it, but okay. But I mean that's kind of something they could explore for the next movie.
I feel like once again it's like once like it kind of reminds me of like it's like that whole point kind of reminds me of something like Blade Runner 2049 in a sense where it's like the whole main part of this story is doing the puzzle and playing the game and trying to find the Easter egg, and then once that's done everything else doesn't really matter. So I think like same thing with the ending of Blade Runner 2049. There was a certain thing and the story needs to be seen. We can cut off the story there, but like I can kind of see what you mean. Even that, like I did like the reference between the first like with the last challenge and what that actually means. I kind of felt a little bit like that, like kind of teary eyeing a bit in a sense because I'm like video games have been a big part of my life, and like and once again a lot of this stuff as well has been big parts of my life, and it was kind of like this thing of like like the things that you create, there are people the things that you like, there are people who've created it. And it was their thing, and the thing that they loved, and they want to show it to the world. And I really enjoyed, like that whole message of just people being fans of something that people enjoyed and liked. And obviously with the final puzzle, that was kind of a main thing, and that was kind of a good, I guess, message, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely kind of resonates with a lot of kind of gamers. Like again, like. It is a VR game, right? We're kind of on the precipice of like what VR is going to be for the future, right? And the thing is, yeah, it does kind of relate to a lot of like kind of nerdy people who maybe like are kind of introverted. Like I think a lot of nerds, they are kind of seen as being like introverted, not antisocial, and I think that's what kind of the creator of this game is like what he kind of represents. Like he's someone again that the main characters and the viewer can like relate with, and it's kind of his growth, and that's what the whole challenge is. It's like the challenge in the game and the Easter egg is all just seeing like his growth into coming to that conclusion, which the characters kind of learn along the way. Again, it's a very simple concept. It's been done before. But it's done really well in this film.
Yeah, absolutely. Just for final thoughts, I just want to see like favorite scenes of this film, and like mine is, and I think it might be yours. There's a bit where a Gundam fights Godzilla, and I think the reveal of that was just like I was just enamored when that happened.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of really cool scenes. Like I really like the kind of opening scene, when they're like in the race and it's just like, oh cool, like all this stuff is happening. All right, cool. They're dodging all these traps. This is very like video gamey. Oh no, there's like Kong. Now they're fighting Kong, right? Like it's all this and like a dinosaur and it's in New York. Like that's really cool. I like everything. And yeah, like the final big fight is really cool. Yeah, with the kind of Gundam coming out of nowhere again. Like that's really well. To be fair, it's not out of nowhere because
I think they set up a lot of this stuff, don't they? Because like
yeah.
The person at the workshop has all these things and like has the Iron Giant where like you can own some of this stuff, and then I think his name's Daito or Sure, one of them, I think rented the Gundam so you can have it for a certain amount of time.
No, they didn't rent it. At the beginning of the movie, there is a challenge which, I guess, Wade's like mechanic friend, they're like kind of fighting in this kind of like the IOI world where they're trying to get like all these like coins and cash and stuff, but they're all trying to get to this prize, and the prize is if you manage to get it, allows you to transform into any robot of your choice for like a limited amount of time. And so she helps Daito and Sho get it, and I think that's why it gets used later in the movie. Because
that's good setup.
That's what it's really cool. Like a lot of, again, it sets up everything really well. Again,
like once again when they did the cube, I'm like, that's probably going to come back later on. But yeah, there was like a lot of random stuff where it was like, you had the money and you can buy it. Like even there's certain other things and characters and things that happen in the movie where it's like it's a callback or a reference to something, and like, oh, it came back in future terms, and I really like that. And like a lazy movie will do it, but like in a very obvious way. And I feel like in this one, once again, I didn't know about the robot one, and I think that was done really well. So like, it's obviously when you don't notice it, that's when it's good. It's the Chekhov's gun approach, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like my final thoughts on the movie, it's really great. I love the acting, love the story, love the visuals. Like it nails everything. It deserves the success that it's currently getting.
Yeah. So that's Ready Player One.